Hey everyone, it's Jason from Kinda Cool. Today we're going to do trades and pick up 7, and it feels like forever since I did one of these, but I'm calling this one my second win. So why don't we start off big, and let's go with a package I got from, I wanted to say a friend of the channel, but that kind of belittles him a little bit. I'm just going to call him a good friend in general. His name is Splatterhouse. And so Splatterhouse has got a really awesome game room, but he's been recently going through some kind of downsizing it. He's kind of transforming it into less video games and more Vegas, if you can kind of visualize that, which is a cool idea. But because of that, he had some stuff he was getting rid of. And so to start off with, we're looking at Blades of Steel. This was a bonus game. He threw this in, maybe one of the best ice hockey games of all time, definitely the best on the NES. And a limited run games greatest hits poster, which is really cool stuff, so thanks for that, Splatterhouse. But that's not why we came here. We came here for this. And so when I first saw Splatterhouse, his collection, I saw a bunch of stuff that I knew I liked. And if I ever were to see him liquidate like he is now, I knew this was going to be one of the games that I would go after. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to adding this to my Neo Geo collection. And this game is NAM 1975. Now, if you don't know what this game is, it's basically, think of it almost like an Operation Wolf from a third-person point of view. It's pretty cool. It's obviously a military-themed game, and this game was offered as a pack-in originally. I think it was a choice you had. And so I always like to have these like pack-in type games. This is always kind of a thing I always go for here. It looks like this was actually a rental copy. It's got a kind of a silver sticker on here, but it's not really all that worse for wear. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. I've seen worse rental copies, so it's looking pretty good. But yeah, so Splatterhouse, appreciate that. I think I paid about $200 for this, and so that's a good deal. And one thing I really like about this is it's not the censored version. And the censored version would have essentially been somebody from SNK scribbling over all the lady parts and Sharpie marker, so we don't want that in a kind of cool game room, so glad that it happened. So good deal there. Thanks again for that one, Splatterhouse. And now we got one for Play More Games. This is from Josh. Now Josh always does a really good job of throwing extra stuff in here, so I'm not going to be surprised at all if I open this up and yep, there we go. Alrighty, I didn't ask for a Tommy Lasorda baseball, so I know this is for sure a bonus game, which is awesome. I don't have this game in my collection, and I've actually played this game. It's not a bad little baseball game, and we'll come back and take a look at this one here in a second. But the whole deal was for this Xerxes. And it's almost like I'm too sexy pronounced, and I know I actually had to go look this up because every way I said this as a kid was wrong. So Xerxes. But he also threw in this really cool Streets of Rage, which I was missing and I asked for. It's got some label damage and he called that out, but no problems there with that. So let's see if maybe I can get that corrected because I really want to add that to my Genesis collection. But here we are again, Tommy Lasorda Baseball. And he didn't just add the cartridge, he added everything here. It looks like he's got basically everything to make this complete. So that's good stuff. I might have to find a clamshell. And it just reminded me here that we didn't trade anything for that, Josh. So hit me up, we'll get something figured out. So next up, I got a neighborhood Facebook page. My wife looks at Facebook and I don't, but every now and then she finds good deals for me. And she found one here this time. Look at all this Xbox 360 stuff for $40. An Xbox 360, and this is the one with the HDMI output, and you can see it's kind of swirled up. It's got some micro scratches on it, but that's okay. 4 controllers and a charging station. And a bunch of games here. I'll just kind of rattle through them here. This Pac-Man game was pretty cool. And a lot of these are kind of sports games and kind of more common games. You know, got some OG Xbox in here and stuff like that. And usually what I do for these types of things is I'll keep the ones that are mildly interesting to me, and the rest of them I kind of go to my local retro store. We've got several locations throughout the Austin area. But ours is actually called, look at this one's actually wrapped. They give me more trade in for that, but Game Over Game. So I'll take a lot of this stuff, but in fact the meat of a lot of this I took in for trade, and I scored a couple things I really wanted. I got a Super Metroid on Super Nintendo, and a Contra Hardcore for Sega Genesis, 2 really good games that I really did want to add to my collection. So, you know, largely this deal helped make that happen. So good stuff here. Kudos to my wife for tracking this down and picking this one up. We can kind of rattle through some more of these kind of games here. Now, there's one sneaky one at the end here you want to be mindful of. And it's a sports game that you might not be aware of normally, but you got to have it on your radar because it usually goes for about $100. I think recently it came down to about 90, 80, somewhere in that range, but still quite a bit. I still consider it a heavy hitter. We're going to jump into it. It's NCAA Football 2014. And again, it wouldn't be something that you would normally have on your radar, but yeah, it's a pretty heavy hitter game. So here it is, and you know, don't sleep on this one because, man, even if you don't want to keep it, which a lot of people don't have interest in it, it's got a lot of trade-in value, man. It can really make your day on a deal like this. Good stuff. All right, guys. Warning for a mega score coming in. I haven't had one in a while, but you know me, and if I'm going to have a mega score, you know it's coming from Craigslist, right? So here's the Super Nintendo deal. Obviously got the Super Nintendo, but that's not the interesting part. This is the interesting part. all those games, man, and they're all boxed. What's going on here? So this was a crazy deal. First of all, let's talk about the Super Nintendo itself. It's in really great condition. I know I keep saying clean this, clean that every time I do one of these pickup videos, but this might be the cleanest one I've seen since the 90s. And definitely since I was a kid. I mean, there's almost no yellowing on this, no scratches, no scuffs. It looked like it just came out of the store. I feel like all this stuff is kind of in a closet find, like in the back of a closet. There wasn't even hardly any dust on any of this stuff, which is pretty incredible. But, it's always good to have a nice looking Super Nintendo. It's not the one chip, but that's alright. Nice clean OEM controller and AC power adapter and RF, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for all these box examples of games like this Illusion of Gaia. Really cool game. And this guy was obviously into RPGs. Here's Dungeon Master. I don't know much about this one, but hey, it's a box complete game for Super Nintendo. You can't kick that one out, right? Can't kick it out of the game room. But yeah, he's obviously really into RPGs, but he was a classic example of he didn't know what he had. So when I showed up to pick it up, it was kind of a strange thing, because first of all, this thing was only out there for 18 minutes, but that's a lifetime for it ad to be out for a deal like this, so I didn't think I had a chance. But the crazy thing was, it was actually on the day of Classic Game Fest. So I think everybody was at Classic Game Fest, and I just got home. I got home a little early, and I was running on like 2 hours of sleep, and I checked that, I was going to take a nap, and I checked that Craigslist right before it. I saw this ad, and I was like, this can't be real. But within 5 minutes, the guy responds, and he's like, yeah, man, when can you come pick this stuff up? So I dropped what I'm doing, and I'm just north of Austin in the suburbs, and he was south of Austin, like not even in Austin, but I got in the car and headed out that direction to make this deal happen. And again, he didn't know what he had. He's like, I didn't think anybody was going to pay $10 for this much, $100 for all this junk. So one of those types of things. But anyway, $100 for all this stuff, and couldn't be happier to add it to my collection. Look at these, man. These hits just keep coming. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I mean, this is probably going to be, this is one that I've always wanted, and I've always said I don't collect per se Super Nintendo CIB stuff, because it's just like it's too late in the game to get into that. But if you were to hand me some, I'm definitely going to take it. I feel like this is a situation where that's kind of what's going on here, so I can't complain. Here's Street Fighter 2. Obviously, I love Street Fighter 2, so such an iconic game. I'll probably keep this one around just because of the importance of the title. But all of them are just intriguing. This STG Strike Gunner, I didn't know this was an expensive game complete, but apparently it is, and got that one here to add to the collection as well. And Super Double Dragon, not a terrible game, not great, but not bad. But hey, box games, you take them, right? But this one, now Final Fantasy II is probably my favorite RPG of all time. It was the first one I ever really got into. Final Fantasy VII, I gotta give a nod to, but Final Fantasy II is probably my all-time favorite. So this didn't go anywhere. I'm keeping this in the collection. And if you have two, you gotta have Final Fantasy III, right? So I got that one here as well. I'm thinking probably this pair sticks around in the collection for quite some time. We'll see. I just wanted to give you guys an example quickly of kind of what these look like. I'll use Secret of Mana as an example, but I mean, when I say they're complete, they're pretty darn complete. So I'll kind of pop everything out here. Now, I've never had Secret of Mana complete, so I'm assuming this is everything. It looks like it comes with a sort of map of some kind. You can see even the games, like most of these games are all in their little protective baggies. I mean, come on, man, really? Seriously? So it looks like here's a little map thing. Looks like it's, pretty good condition, and then obviously we got the instruction booklet here. It looks like it's in pretty good condition too, and most of this is pretty indicative of what these all look like. So again, it feels like kind of one of these once in a lifetime type deals that popped up and hit me again from Craigslist. But overall, pleased to have these around. And if anybody's watching from the Retro Collective, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these. So if any of these kind of pique your curiosity, hit me up. Let's see what we can do. Alright, so speaking of Super Nintendo, you know me, I like my mods, I like my system mods, my console mods. So I scored a few trades and pickups videos back, a really nice looking SNES Junior. And I was thinking about flipping it out, but it was so clean, I said, you know what, let's go ahead and just keep it around. And I said, well, if I'm going to keep it around, I might as well get it modded. So I sent it over to Mark at My Retro Fix. I love him, he does a great job at all this stuff. Really good guy, really friendly guy, really good with his prices, and just really knows his stuff. So I sent it out to him. I wanted to get a full recap done, and I wanted to get this called Ghost Capacitor fix. And I don't want to get too far into that rabbit hole because you can't unsee it if you see it, but it's a little kind of a ghosted image, and I wanted a power LED put in here right at this particular part of the console to make it look like the original. He did that. We also did the region free mod where he professionally filed that stuff down. So came back looking really good, and give me an opportunity to try it here in a second. And so I got the Voltar board. So apparently these have a little bit of a flaw. They're a little overbright, a little oversaturated, and it's not anything that most people would notice, but once you start looking at comparison videos out there, you kind of see it, and you're like, yeah, okay, I guess I can get behind that. So I got an opportunity to compare this with my old one, and I did see some improvement. You know, I can definitely see it's a much cleaner image. It's given me an opportunity to play with my RetroTink 5X as well, who I've recently promoted to my primary scaler above the OSSC. But here you can see here, it's looking really good, and the RetroTink 5X has some really impressive scanline filters. I mean, they're really going crazy. Look at this stuff. I mean, this is no longer just horizontal lines. They're really getting close to looking like PVM, BVM quality, so really neat stuff. So this one next is a Mercari pickup, and I don't really do as much eBay anymore because I find myself on Mercari most of the time for any kind of auction related things, and I found these really killer deals here for some Neo Geo CD games at $14 a pop. I felt that was kind of a steal, so went ahead and picked them up both, free shipping on these, which was really cool. And I don't really play the Neo Geo CD a lot, but I do collect for it, and these are really nice looking discs, really great shape. And I got Samurai Showdown 2, Samurai Showdown 3, and I've been in a little bit of a Samurai Showdown, Samurai Spirits mode lately. If you watched my video where I went to Classic Game Fest, I picked up Samurai Showdown on the AES, and so I'm kind of staying with that theme here. You can see the little Neo Geo emblem right there on the CD plastic, like a lot of those don't have that, this one did. So that's pretty cool to see. Another really awesome looking condition disc. So, you know, two really cool games, and can't complain at $14 a pop. That's all day long for me. Next up, we got a Do Not Bin box, and that means good things, doesn't it? So this came from a friend of mine, Juliet India Mobile, and he was on some of the Discords talking about, look what I found when I was getting ready to move, and I said, man, I just fell in love with this. And it's a poster, but he sent it. I said, can I have it? He goes, man, you can have it. I'll send it your way. He gave me some free coffee, 2 free coffee coupons. You know, can't beat that with a bat. But look at this poster he came across while I was moving. This is for Knights of the Realm, which is really cool Capcom beat 'em up, a medieval spot inspired beat 'em up, and I just fell in love with this poster, man, and I had to have it. I said, can you send it my way? He goes, man, it's in the mail. So I'm gonna have to find a way to get this up in the game room. So thanks so much for that, Juliet India Mobile, much appreciated. All right, let's try a Craigslist find again, and this was some GameCube games. So started off with 3 for $20 here. And he also had this Dance Dance Revolution Mario mix, and this was complete as well with the dance mat. Not really my cup of tea, but I know those get a lot of trade-in value for it, so I went ahead and picked them up. That was $25 for that one, plus $20 for the 3 games. So first up, we got Prince of Persia, Sands of Time complete. We've got Extreme G-Ration. This game is really fun. I've had some fun with this. It's not an easy game, but it is cool. So not bad pickup there. And then we got Intellivision Lives. Now, I'm not a real big Intellivision guy, but if I'm going to play it, this is perfectly fine for me. I don't need to have the purity thing going on with the hardware, original hardware for that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But look what he threw it. He's like, hey, I was going to put this in the trash, but do you want it? It's empty, but if you want it, it's yours. And I thought this was really cool because, man, not only is the box in good condition for Wind Waker, all the paperwork is here as well. And I figured, you know what, if we started this thing with a Wind Waker theme, why not round it off at the end with some Wind Waker details here. So I'm looking for a copy of the disc here, but for now, I got the rest of the box. So good stuff there. Not quite as impressive as some of the other Craigslist finds, but, you know, still put it in a good category. All right, next up, we got another box here. This one's actually from Back in the Day Gaming. So Jonathan from Back in the Day Gaming was nice enough to send this my way. He said, hey man, I saw this and I thought of you immediately. I wanted to see what you thought about it. Let me know. And man, I gotta tell you, Jonathan, this thing is freaking awesome. Love it, man. So I'm gonna have to find a room for a couple more posters in my game room, because check this out, guys. This is really cool. My NES comfort food has always been Punch Out. Little Mac, Dance Like a Fly, Bite Like a Mosquito. How cool is that? Thanks so much, Jonathan, man. I appreciate this. This is awesome. I'll hit you up in the future. We'll get something going. Guys, keep an eye on my channel. I hope to show you something in the future. Kinda cool.